It's absolutely disgusting what has happened to that country.
The world's gone crazy. Farage is out. Could Tate be in? Hello there, you awakening wonders. As the tectonic plates shift, as new political powers play powerful, peculiar games, it seems like the alliance between Musk and Farage may yet begat peculiar new movements. Is it possible that Andrew Tate and his bruv party could rise to prominence? I mean, I remember when I curled that smile at the idea of Donald Trump. So, before we dismiss out of hand the possibility of new and emergent politics, let's remember that Beppe Grillo in Italy rose to prominence after a career as a comedian, that the Podemos movement radicalized Spanish politics. Then we've got the unexpected Brexit. And in this ever-changing world in which we live in, is it possible, yes, those are lyrics to Live and Let Die, is it possible that Andrew Tate could go from maligned, exiled, Romanian fugitive to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? In the Bruv Party, let's have a look.
It is our intention to become political figures inside of the United Kingdom, and I will be aiming to be Prime Minister to fix the mess. And I want to make something clear to everybody who is watching this, especially the political establishment, which I know is watching this show right now. I am being absolutely serious. You are corrupt and you have failed people generationally. London should be the greatest city in the world. Great Britain was once the greatest place anyone could possibly live. We had a strong and proud people, and the generational failure that the constituents of the UK have been forced to endure is legendarily terrible. It's absolutely disgusting what has happened to that country.
Chris Pavlovsky, CEO of Rumble, once told me that he believes Andrew Tate to be a particular type of genius, a genius that sort of reads ulterior information. You know, you would accept it if someone said that, a mathematical genius might present peculiarly socially. Andrew Tate's a pretty unusual character, but he's clearly understood some significant things about how the culture is operating. Let me know in the comments and chat, do you believe that the culture just throws individuals up and the individuals that are nominally powerful are really only symptoms of more difficult to discern ulterior phenomena? Or do you think individuals change and alter the culture? What I mean is, do you think that with all of the various crises around identity and masculinity, with the emergence of new immediate communication technology, that figures like Andrew Tate and other various influencers were going to enjoy new prominence and power? Or do you think that there is something particular about him? And of course there is something particular about him because it's him and not anyone else that's enjoying all this fame. And if you've watched any of like Andrew Tate's interviews with Piers Morgan, for example, you will have to recognise that he's pretty far from being an idiot. He's a pretty sharp person, an intelligent communicator, good at chess, determined, and he represents some values that are impressive and important and have perhaps been too easily dismissed. I think something odd's happening when culturally maligned working class figures like Tommy Robinson and Andrew Tate suddenly enjoy resurgence. What fascinates me personally about it is the central culture no longer has the power to admonish, exile and abolish peripheral voices. There was a time where if they wanted Andrew Tate cancelled or jailed or crushed or whatever, they'd be able to do it. If they wanted Tommy Robinson out of the picture, they'd be able to do it. Something extraordinary is happening, and we don't know how it's going to play out yet. So whilst it does seem pretty unlikely that Andrew Tate would become a political leader of any kind, just note the examples I gave earlier. Syriza, admittedly Syriza in Greece were made up of like sort of somewhat, if not career politicians, people with academic backgrounds. I'm thinking of Yanis Varoufakis in particular, that would lead them to thrive in political environments. But populism ain't like that. We've already had a Trump presidency. We've already had Brexit. We've had the rise of Podemos. We've had the five-star movement in Italy. Now, someone like Andrew Tate, with the audience he has and the cultural capital that he has could make a significant difference if correctly backed. I mean, it's pretty garish to watch his content, and like a lot of the time he's got his top off and he's smoking cigars, and he does say some stuff that's pretty out there. But the fact is, in a democracy, if someone is able to glean popular support, there's no reason well, I mean, literally on that basis, they can have a mandate. They can, if through referenda people can get enough votes, they can, and you could argue, if you believe in democracy, should be represented. They should be represented or get, for example, if Andrew Tate stands for election in some borough or region or principality and wins a vote, then that's it. That's what democracy is. That's what democracy means. I suppose what's more significant and interesting to me is the way that figures like Andrew Tate or Tommy Robinson have always been maligned was, I think, to place an impassable threshold around systems of influence and power. You can have your own views of Andrew Tate. You might think he's like misogynistic or vulgar, or there's a whole variety of labels and ways to damn Andrew Tate. But the fact is, he appeals to a lot of people, and he represents some things that a lot of people are very interested in. And increasingly, as we discover that many of the political figures that we've placed our trust in are in their own ways corrupt, and sometimes corrupt in ways that are pretty appalling and disgusting. Many of us remember the rumours of paedophilia and sex scandals that surrounded a lot of people in government in my country in the 1980s. You find out this stuff's true, with the Diddy lists and the Epstein lists and all of the controversy surrounding many high-profile, not just Hollywood, but political figures. The idea that you can dismiss someone like Andrew Tate because he's somewhat garish and occasionally vulgar, which, by the way, are synonyms for working class, seems to me that changes are taking place. There's no reason at all to assume that the new influencers and new independent media powers will not at some point become political. In fact, it's inevitable that they will. It's inevitable that you'll see a Conor McGregor or a Jeremy Clarkson, someone that comes from old media, but now I reckon you'll see make significant impact in new media, or Andrew Tate cash in their cultural credentials for political power. And in a way, why shouldn't they? It might be likely that this new type of politics means that you won't have polarised two-party politics anymore. Democrat Party, Republican Party, Labour Party, Conservative Party. You'll have new coalitions that represent more bespoke and particular communities. And before you dismiss Andrew Tate, because if he's definitely said some pretty crazy stuff. I've seen crazy stuff he said on the internet. You better understand that independent media is changing the world more quickly than the old institutions of power can accommodate or even understand.
And it seems that nobody is interested in doing the things which must be done to fix it. Sometimes to be a bad guy, you have to be a bad guy. Sometimes you have to be an anti-hero. Tough decisions must be made. Firm, hard lines must be drawn. And I can't seem to find faith in any other political party which is truly interested in doing what is required. Therefore, I will do it myself. For everybody who is mocking this attempt for me to become the prime minister, please understand, I'm a wealthy person with 50 years of life left. The chance of me being prime minister, considering I was the most Googled man alive, sometime before I die, is actually very high. And I will leave a legacy of flawless governance.
Spare a moment for Tristan Tate, who sits there beside his brother, loyally, as he must have done in bunk beds in some council house somewhere. Did they grow up around Luton? Are they from Luton? I'm not sure where they're from. It's pretty amazing phenomena. Because I've occupied all different stratas of media, traditional media like TV and film, and I've seen how those places operate, and now I understand what kind of alliances media has with government and how centralised institutions operate and cooperate in order to maintain power. I'm much more sympathetic to marginal peripheral voices like Andrew Tate, and I'm also sympathetic to alliances being formed between people who don't agree on anything. I feel that these new tectonic shifts, these new polarizing powers are going to lead to some extraordinary alliances and some real and radical changes. Whether Andrew Tate can realistically be prime minister or not, based on his maths there, he's got 50 years to do it, it's absolutely a possibility. But there's certainly, what I will say is there's no reason why we should continue to elect leaders like Keir Starmer, who may have skeletons of their own in the closet, who, if you look at their career, when he was head of the CPS, set up 24-hour courts in order to ensure that people receive the most draconian treatment possible for minor affrays during public disturbances in 2011, that met with the CIA, that ensured that Jeremy Corbyn was ousted and cooperated with globalist forces. This new kind of populism and its pantheon of stars, of which Andrew Tate is definitely one of the most notable, are the consequences of the institutional atrophy that's been happening long before it was exposed by independent media, long before the COVID pandemic exposed and helped us all to articulate and appreciate that corporate power, notably big tech and big pharma, cooperate with centralized formal traditional power, notably the media and the government, to maintain control over whole populations. And also during the pandemic, we saw how nefarious and untrustworthy those institutions are. And perhaps, forgive me for this, that's as a result of abandoning at the heart of our culture and our institutions faith and belief in God. Once the pinnacle of all power is rationalism and mankind, that power becomes a lot more fallible. Who is it now that can claim the moral authority to jail, kill, or censor? Is it the government? Is it the mainstream media? Is it the judiciary? Increasingly, significant numbers of people are walking away. That's why we're getting surprise election results. That's why we're getting the emergence of new political movements that may have hues of traditionalism and patriotism and be redolent of ideas that we recognise, but what is definitely not atavistic is the means of communication and the ability to spread messages. And Andrew Tate is at the very forefront of those kind of cultural trends.
Flawless governance. Beautiful. I will leave a legacy of flawless governance. It is our intention here to outline our plan for the Bruv Party and to explain to you our primary objectives.
I mean, if it is going to be flawless governance, are you going to at some point regret calling it the Bruv Party, is all I will ask. But, you know, hey, these are crazy days.
Which we would implement as soon as we took power inside of the House of Commons. And once again, there's a lot of people who seem to think we're not serious and that we're playing games. This is not a game. And if you think back to the legacy of Andrew Tate since when you first heard of me, I want you to actually ask yourself a question. Have I ever lost? The Matrix attacked us in one of the most corrupt countries in the world. They lied about us and hit us with endless charges. They deleted me from everything, expecting me to go away. They took all of my money away. They've done everything they possibly could. Have the Tates ever failed, or have we always somehow ended up on top? And this is going to be another story. You guys are witnessing the birth of something which is going to revolutionize British politics. 3D chess game theory. My success, even if I do not become prime minister, will force the parties of the UK to address the issues they don't want to address. They'll be forced to discuss my point of view. They'll be forced to discuss the momentum that my party has managed to gather based purely on a message of competence and nationalistic policies. They will be forced to discuss things that they've been trying to ignore for generations. And it is for this reason that truly I cannot fail. My endeavors will reward Great Britain, irregardless of the outcome of an election.
Let me know in the comments and chat if you want me to have a conversation with Andrew Tate about these new shifts in British politics, because I'm open to these kind of conversations. I really am. One of the questions I'd ask is, what is your eye line during that video? That's one of the things I'd like to investigate and interrogate. So, one way of looking at this is politics is changing fast. It's changing as a result of technology. Andrew Breitbart is credited with the phrase that politics is downstream of culture, but culture is downstream of technology. I added that last bit, and the technology has changed so rapidly and radically, all of us are forced to countenance Martin Gurri's excellent analysis in his book, The Revolt of the Public, that the old elites no longer are capable of governing and the new elites are yet to be born. In the incredible influence of Elon Musk, we're beginning to appreciate what a new global sovereign might look like and how that, perhaps in ways that's not as novel as we might assume, have power that transcends boundaries. For example, don't global corporations have power that transcend national boundaries? Don't Apple and Alphabet find novel ways of avoiding paying taxation in a variety of countries and develop favourable relationships and contracts with governments and perhaps have undue influence? Haven't oligarchs and magnates since the Rockefellers and the Carnegies exerted undue influence on national governments? What we're beginning to see now is the emergence of a new class, and class is perhaps an optimal word here, because now, through these new systems of emergent populism, finally, extraordinarily, we're seeing political figures and voices emerge that the professional class, the bourgeoisie and the gatekeepers wanted more than anything to malign, censor and oppress. Real working class voices. And the truth is, sometimes when these authentic voices rise up, not everyone's going to like what they say, but a significant number of people might. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Tate, Tommy Robinson, and perhaps people from other more traditional communities might suddenly, as a result of emergent technology, get voices and maybe even the mandate that these new systems can accommodate. There's no reason at all why the technology that gives you Airbnb and Uber couldn't give you new local community governments, much more localized and decentralized, and democracies that are much more direct. And in such a system, you're going to see a variety of interesting political figures coming to the forefront. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat? Remember, we stream 4 days a week on Rumble, where we can speak openly and freely. And please consider getting Rumble Premium using the code in the link. Until then, if you can, stay free.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.